Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second ever Fairy Tail Fierce Fight tier list. Now, in the previous video, I will admit I did not place some of these characters in the best tiers possible for them, and that's why I asked in that video for you guys to tell me where we should move them, and we would fix the tier list in the next video. So that's exactly what we're going to do today, and I'll ask you again if by the time this tier list is done, you disagree with any of the placements. Let me know down in the comments and give a good reason for why they should be moved to where you think they should be moved, because we want to get this tier list right for the community so it is something everybody can use. So we're going to start off by moving the old characters around, and then at the end of the video we will place the new gray. Now keep in mind this is a general investment tier list for PvE and for PvP and for Peak Arena, all three of those things. And when we're doing this general investment tier list, we're assuming that the SSR characters are like at 4 stars max, because most people probably aren't going to have too many 5 or 6 stars SSR characters, and we're going to assume that the rare and SR characters can be 6-starred with their second origins. So that's kind of how we're placing them. So the very first character we are going to move, I feel like I overrated him a little bit, because by the time you get to end game, he's not as good as he used to be. He's a very good early game carry, but by the time you get to the end, he's not as good. He's still solid, a solid unit, but he's not S material. So we're going to put Jalal down to A tier. He is still a very good character, but I would say he's not on Minerva's level. He's not on Midnight's level. Those two are just very, very good, right? The next character we're going to be moving is Bisca. I might have underrated Bisca a little bit. Like, if this Natsu is here in B tier because of his nuking potential, Bisca should also be in B tier because of her nuking potential. They do very similar, like, nuking damage and nuking things, so they should definitely be in the same tier. The next character that I severely underrated is Ultier. Ultier I put all the way down here in F tier. That is so not fair to her, because her passive is actually pretty good. It does piercing AoE damage to enemies, so she's really good in AoE PvE situations, and additionally she can heal with her ultimate skill, so like she's a really well balanced character, and for that reason I'm going to put her up to C tier. There might even be an argument for her to go higher than this, but let me know down in the comments once again where you guys think Ultier should end up. And then next we have Loxus. Loxus, this is coming from a top 5 player in the game, this recommendation right here, and they said that this character is used more often than others when it comes to like Peak Arena and stuff like that, and I also agree. I've used him quite a bit. You can see my Loxus is at 5 stars, and I think he's really good. He has good damage. He increases the attack speed of the team, which is insanely good and very useful when he is leader, and then it's just super common to see him in Peak Arena, so we're actually going to move Loxus up to S tier because his damage is kind of on par with Midnight and Minerva. He's just really, really good. The next character I'm going to move is going to be the rare Natsu. So this Natsu right here, not the Dragon Sword Natsu, but the rare Natsu. You will see him. He is just rampant everywhere. He is a menace because it is so easy to level him up. He has insanely good damage. The burn that he does is ridiculous, and he can be super tanky, and it's just so easy to get this character to second origin. So for that reason, I'm going to move him up to S tier. I do think he's just so prevalent and so easy for people to get that he deserves S tier. I don't know if he's necessarily as good as Loxus, Midnight, and Minerva, but I think he's very decent in his own right. He's pretty close to their level, if not quite their level, but then you also got to take into consideration the fact that he is so easy to obtain and to level up, so he definitely deserves to be there. Next, we have Ikaruga. Ikaruga is a very solid character with good damage. She has damage reduction, and she has control immunity on most of her skills. The fact that she has that on most of her skills makes her very, very good. So for that reason, I have to move Ikaruga up. It's actually a crime to have Ikaruga below Angel. Like that, I don't know how I did that, but that feels a lot better having Ikaruga. And technically, if I was to put these tiers in order, right, like Ikaruga would be like up here. She'd be at the front of A tier, and Angel would probably be like down here, but I'm not putting them in order, okay? So right there, that's kind of in order, but not really. Okay, so just keep that in mind. None of these tiers are in order from like best to worst. And then next up, we have Wendy. Wendy is really good at healing, but you need to have her built quite a bit so that she doesn't die like early, especially in like Peak Arena. You need to have her second origin. Ideally, you have her leveled up past second origin with Ascendance. Like, you need to put quite a bit of investment into her to make her really, really good. And so for that reason, I actually put Wendy down in A tier, also because she does okay damage, but like just not the damage that these guys do. The guys in S, they are crazy when it comes to their damage. So Wendy being in A tier, I feel, is a fair placement for her. Next, we need to talk about Gray and Leon. Gray and Leon, I have seen more and more in Peak Arena, especially with people now getting them to second origin. And I said originally when I placed them in B tier, they are up here in these tiers because they do really good damage and they have insane tank ability. Like they are both very, very good tanks with like wide attack ranges and everything. Like they're so good. They are so good because of their damage reduction. So for that reason, I am going to move Gray and Leon up to A tier because they are just very good in Peak Arena. They'd be good in PvP. They are going to be very tanky for you in PvE situations. They're just all around very solid characters. And I feel like it's fair if you get them to second origin, moving these characters up to A tier. Okay, so keep that in mind for those two characters. If you want characters that are easy to invest in, there you go. Next, Brain. I might have underrated Brain a little bit. He is as good as Cobra, probably better than Cobra. My biggest problem personally with Brain is that he has to stand in place for some of his skills, which is a little bit of a problem because it makes him a big target, but his damage, the trade-off for standing in place is actually big. So I would put Brain up here in B tier at the very least. And once again, because he's below Cobra here does not mean he's worse than Cobra. He's just on the same tier as Cobra. He might even be slightly better than Cobra. I can't make a tier for every single character, right? So that would take forever. But Brain is much better than C tier, right? Better than most of these other characters in C tier. And same thing, it could be said for Leo and Juvia. I will say they are better than Lucy, they're better than these other characters. So Leo can be very good if you have him built right. I need to be specific about that. If you have him built right, he can be insane with the amount of crit that he has. He's a crit machine. He's very good. But the biggest problem I have with Leo is that sometimes his skills just miss because of the way he is animated, and it's kind of weird, and it doesn't work out very nice. So that's what's kind of holding him back from being higher, because he could be higher with the amount of damage he can do, but his skills, just the animations, I'm not the biggest fan. Juvia, I'm going to move up to B tier as well. While her biggest detriment is she's easy to evade if you have her on defense and PvP. She is quite tanky, and she is a character that, in terms of investment, you're going to be able to get her to 6 stars faster than most other SSR characters, because when you first start the game, they give you free copies of her. So most of these other characters are based on 4 stars, but I have to give Juvia a little bit more because you can base her on 5 stars or higher, because most people will be able to get Juvia up at 5 stars or higher minimum, right? So you have to kind of put her up in B tier for that. If she was just 4 stars, I could see leaving her in C tier, but I feel like most people will have her above 4 stars. So I'm going to put her in B tier because she can be really decent in Peak Arena. She's not the greatest in PvP, but then when it comes to range damage and AoE damage for PvE, her AoE on her ultimate is actually pretty good, and the stuns and the binds and stuff that she has can be very useful against bosses and stuff like that in PvE. So she has really good utility, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then last but not least, the last character I want to move around on this tier list for right now is going to be Levy. I also severely underrated Levy. Levy has damage reduction, she has control immunity, and she has healing for allies. However, all of those things are split between different abilities. So she doesn't have it multiple times. Ikaruga has, where's Ikaruga? I put her up here. She has control immunity on multiple skills. Levy only has damage reduction on 1 skill. She only has control immunity on 1 skill. And so that makes her good, but not as good as some of these other characters up above. So I'm going to move Levy to D tier. There might be an argument to go higher. I don't know, but for right now, I feel like that's a decent placement for her. And the rest of these characters, I'm not really going to move around. I thought about moving Sherry because she becomes untargetable when she flies up in the air, which is okay, but that's the one thing I really feel that's okay for her. The rest is not great. I guess that makes her slightly better than these other 3 down in F tier, so maybe I can move her up to D tier, but let me know down in the comments if I should. For right now, I'm going to leave her there. The rest of the characters in D tier I feel pretty confident about. Gildarts, it only really becomes good when you get him to 6 stars and he's super tanky and hard to kill and annoying, but at 4 stars he's just not it, right? And remember, with a lot of these characters for SSRs, we're talking about Racer at 4 stars, he's not it, but get Racer to 6 stars or get him to second origin. Racer's super annoying, hard to kill. So just keep that in mind as we're looking at this tier list. It's based on 4-star SSRs and it's based on second origin SRs and rares. Now, with all of that said, we do still need to place the new Power of Ice Gray. So when I initially tested this character, I saw his kit and I'm like, okay, good sweeping attacks, decent range, he has stuns, he looks very solid, his kit itself. But then I didn't really pay attention to his stats, and I tried him out in PvE, I tried him out in PvP, and I tried him out in Peak Arena. And in PvE, he feels okay. He feels strong because he can take on, like, you know, crowds of enemies fairly easily. But then take him into PvP and Peak Arena, and he is horrendously squishy. Like, it's laughable how squishy he is. You need to have like barrier on this boy, you need to have extra damage reduction on this boy, you need to have healing, and you need to have the healing magic item on him, like just to give him a survivable chance at 4 stars. If you get him the second origin and get him higher, like he'll obviously become better like most characters, but if most people are just getting 1 copy, especially since he's a fest character, so most people are only probably getting 1 copy, then he's just not going to be the character for you. So this actually pains me to do. But I think he's worse than the Natsu. I think he's worse than Mira Jane. And so I thought about moving like Mira Jane down too, but like, nah, I think putting Gray in this tier is fine. He might even go down here. I don't know. For now, I'm going to put him in C tier. He's definitely below the other Fest units. Like, his kit is good. His kit is very good. He's just so squishy. It's not great, man. It's just not great. So Gray going there, I feel is fair. It's so sad. You see the rare Gray up in A tier and the Fest Gray down in C tier. That's absolutely crazy. And then the other character I thought about moving down, I thought about potentially moving down Urza because I don't feel like she's quite as good as Jalal, but I don't know. I feel like for now I'm going to leave her there. I also thought about moving Angel down, and I thought about Josei as well, but like if I move Angel, I have to move Josei, and I feel like Josei deserves to be an A tier. Like, he's very like decent. If you have him built right, he can do a ton of damage. He's insanely annoying. Angel, I think, is also very annoying with her ability to copy an ally, especially if you have her leveled up. I think she can be very good and helpful, especially in PvE, and she's actually decent in like Peak Arena as well. PvP, maybe not as much, but like still, she has her uses, just being able to use Gemini to create an extra copy. So the characters that I'm thinking maybe need to be moved down in the future, but you guys can let me know in the comments. Maybe I need to move Angel. Maybe I need to move Josei. Maybe I need to move Heaven's Wheel Urza. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Let me know if any other character should be moved up. Maybe Makarov should be moved up at 4 stars. When you get him to second origin, he's good. And you can get him to second origin fairly easily because you do get free copies or pieces for him as well. So maybe he should go up to B tier with Juvia. But for now, I think this is the tier list. Once again, let me know your guys' thoughts. We'll adjust accordingly. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.